Heike Monogatari, or The Tale of the Heike, is an epic of great fame dating back all the way to the 12th century. Following both the ascension and later the fall of the Taira family, various forms and versions of the story have been passed down via oral tradition by Biwa playing bards. The story, which balances both a samurai epic with Buddhist themes, would inspire plays, paintings, woodblock prints, you name it. And yet, up until 2022, nobody had taken on the challenge of adapting it to the purest art form available to man. The gacha game. As of 2025, this still has yet to come to fruition, but there is an anime now, so at least we've got that going for us. Directed by Naoko Yamada, who hails from KyoAni and has a portfolio incredible enough to immediately garner my interest wherever her name shows up, while many of the events from the epic would appear as they would in the anime adaptation, there was one major addition to the story that really stood out, and that is Biwa. A small girl whose father had been killed as a result of her disrespecting the Taira clan, she suddenly appears before the eldest son of the clan leader and offers a chilling fortune. Your people's end is near. You see, Biwa's right eye possesses a unique ability to see the future. Shigemori, both out of guilt for what the Taira had done to her father, as well as empathy, as he too possesses an eye with unique abilities, takes her into his care, where she would have front row seats to the entire story about to unfold. This was my first exposure to the Tale of the Heike, but even for those who have grown up with the story, the anime was able to give it a very unique feeling. The show isn't afraid to imply the fate of these characters. As I mentioned earlier, it's literally in the first 10 minutes. However, despite possessing the knowledge of what's to come, just like Biwa, the audience is unable to do anything, something that she herself laments. Biwa, in more ways than one, serves the role of the narrator. While interacting with and existing amongst the Taira family, she remains on the outside, lacking both the power and ability to have an effect on the current happenings, despite seeing everything to come. This is further emphasized by unusual quirks, such as the fact that she doesn't age throughout the duration of the story, watching the kids she once played with grow into mature adults, further cementing the idea that she exists outside of the scope of the narrative. However, as the story progresses, so too does her understanding of her role in the story. It's not to change the future that she sees, it's to witness the events occurring before her, and, just like the Biwa playing bards of antiquity, pass along the story for the generations that come after. This switch from what seemed like a somewhat faithful, lighthearted retelling of a famous piece of medieval Japanese literature to something a lot more layered was brilliant in my eyes. The bittersweet moments of Biwa telling these characters that no matter what happens, their stories will live on adds a pretty heavy emotional impact to both the narrative contained within the show, as well as to those familiar with the history of the original. It's honestly a rare instance of me wishing I knew more about the history of the story before experiencing it for the first time, as once I learned all the context surrounding the epic, it helped me to contextualize what the team was trying to accomplish with the character of Biwa and appreciate the show even more. This isn't to say you've gotta read a book just to enjoy this 3.5-hour production, as there are plenty of merits present aside from the gripping narrative. The first thing one may notice is that the show looks both beautiful and different at the same time. At no point did I think that the character designs were ugly, it just felt like the show wasn't trying to murder me with sex appeal and eyes that cover half of a character's face, which I still think is pretty great. The simplistic, round features gave the team plenty of room for expressive character animation, along with backgrounds that look straight out of a watercolor painting, which helped to create a storybook world that I was able to fully immerse myself in. The vibrant colors and symbolic visuals meant to stress the feeling being conveyed rather than the lived reality, combined with these artistic sequences of an otherworldly Biwa narrating the current happenings of the world via song. And presentation-wise, you have something that stands well above many of its modern contemporaries. It doesn't wow you with anything over the top, but its commitment to a unique style is very much appreciated and helps to set its desired tone. Speaking of setting the desired tone, Kensuke Ushio. Oh, Kensuke Ushio. I've been bringing his name up a lot recently, as I've talked about many of his past works as of late, such as Orb and The Dangers in My Heart. When I think of that upper echelon of music composers in anime, I often think of those that have a very distinct, recognizable style. You don't have to tell me that a song is from Hiroyuki Sawano or Yuki Kajira. All it takes is 10 seconds of either hard mechanical rock or these unique atmospheric orchestrations, and I've got a Dio's chance of getting it right. At least guess for me, Kensuke Ushio is like the exact opposite of this. I'll be thinking to myself, this soundtrack is pretty good, or wow, this really fits the story it's trying to tell. I wonder who made it. 9 times out of 10, I think that it's been Kensuke Ushio. He doesn't really have a unique sound. Instead, he's able to drastically change his use of instruments and technique to match the message or desired ambiance, like a jack of all trades. The use of traditional flutes, and you guessed it, the biwa, really stood out, helping to take the viewer back in time, immersing them in this beautiful pre-industrial world. And when the tidings inevitably get rougher, a more intense tone is assumed while still holding on to that classical style. The integration of music into the show really does deserve massive props. Rather than going into detail on every major battle or happening within the original story, many are succinctly summarized via a biwa performance by our main character. Not only is this visually striking by itself, providing some artistic variety that is much appreciated, but also helps to encourage the snappy pacing present throughout. It goes from world building to emotional beat to major event via biwa to some sort of time skip, never wasting a second. Now, I could get into the themes revolving around the original narrative, rooted deeply in Buddhistic teachings, rejecting the unending pursuit of material gain, emphasizing the impermanence of life, how just like the white buds of a tree, nothing that flourishes will last forever. But I don't really wanna. I'd much rather talk about how awesome the presentation is. We've talked about the simplistic yet colorful painting-esque visuals, along with the traditional music and unique reenactment sequences. All of this comes together to make this vibe that feels straight out of a storybook. It feels less like I'm watching an anime, and more so just sitting around a fire being told a tale from long ago. The inclusion of the character Biwa helps to really sell this as well, adding this self-aware character that, while not having knowledge of the whole picture, bridges the events contained within the epic with the greater impact it would go on to have later on, and even communicates the significance of the story to the characters it involves from the past. These moments are absolutely wonderful. Biwa's character arc to get to the point where she could fulfill her role was engaging, all the while the beauty of the original is taking place in the background. I cannot get over how well this was all organized. Such a powerful ending made even more so by clever artistic decisions that paid off in spades. They could have just retold a story that has been retold thousands of times, but decided to give it a modern twist that respects the original perhaps even more than what a faithful adaptation would have. Biwa being this omniscient representation of the biwa playing bards whose music this story flowed through time via is just so good, and the more that I think about it, the more I come to love this rendition in particular. It takes the best of the old so that anyone new to the story is able to appreciate its message, while both including and respecting the historical significance that would come to exist later on. The art, music, narrative, and creative decisions help to sell this as a work straight out of a storybook, and while it may not have a storybook ending, this is Heike Monogatari.